That's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. This week, the meatiest topics of the series so far. The Ben Stokes controversy. And what are we teaching our kids these days? Remember to use the hashtag FredSavSide to suggest future topics you'd like to hear us talk about. But before we get going, let's have a chat about what we've been doing over the course of the...
Why don't you kick it off today, Matthew? What have you been doing?
Oh, you've been all over the place.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I think I wanted to bring up, if I may, and I hope you're not too offended by this, Fred, but the most interesting thing was coming into the studio.
Well, you've had a busy week then.
Out
of everything.
This is in the top 10 anyway, and we started talking about cars. That we drive. And you mentioned that when you
My
drive
Kia
the
Sorento,
Kia,
I love it.
You
love
get
my
out
Kia
of the
Sorento.
Kia,
It's a beautiful
and
car,
people-
7 seats, got all the mod cons, sat nav, voice recognition. It's got leather seats. It's got beautiful alloy wheels. It's a beautiful tone of black. Have you heard enough about my Kia Sorento?
Well, what I was going to say is that we're talking about fame, and when you turn up at a particular thing in your Kia, you walk out, it doesn't turn many heads. And I said, yeah, but I bet it's different with the black Ferrari. And then Rob told me something that I never knew before. You also have a Lamborghini.
Oh, mouth.
What's going on?
Mouth.
Mouth,
Rob. Mouth. No, I got a minute. Don't you
He's
start.
on the ropes.
I'm off here. I'm
boxing,
I'm defending myself. Robbie Savage here thinks he's a man of the people. Now he's bought a Mini. He's bought two £45 spotlights to put on the front from Alfred's. It looks like he's in the Italian job or something. Driving around.
Got some...
So I'm Mini. So I looked at it and thought something missing. So I got £44 spotlights for the front.
Why? What did you do? Did you spot it?
But they don't work. They're not wired up.
You're going down mines, isn't it? I don't know what you're doing.
But they're not wired up. They're not wired up. They're not wired up.
You just stuck them on.
Yeah, they bolted on.
What you do?
So they don't work because they look good. But they don't. So if I put the
Well, it's a matter of opinion,
Hold
then.
on a second. They're not even functional, but you put them on because you thought it would improve
it's
the
like the
image.
Italian
of
job. The car looks great.
I'm with you.
Anyway, just a quick.
Also, as well, Stanley was saying, because Stanley who works with us, drives him around, says, because he's got these popping exhausts on his Mini Cooper S. John
works.
John works,
Yeah.
in his job, but he keeps putting his foot down to pop at the lights, like.
Can I throw in one thing?
Going back
the
to
other
Ben's
thing.
cars.
No, but okay, yeah.
Go back to
He
Ben's
moved
cars.
on. He moved on brilliantly, didn't he?
Hilarious story. So,
Yeah.
you know, we speak every day. And listen,
You and Fred do.
yeah, he works hard.
You answer the phone every day.
But listen, sometimes
yeah.
he does. Well, he's got the most stupidest phone in
It's
the
an
world, by the way.
unknown number, isn't it? You don't see his number.
That's
Oh,
it.
shut, yeah.
That's it. He's got the most stupidest phone ever. So I used to phone him, right? And I used to go, brr, brr, and then,
What did he do?
brr, brr, well, when it goes. And then it used to say, user busy. So I used to
Yeah.
ring Rachel, his wife, and say, Rachel, I can never get hold of Fred. She said, you've got to phone him twice. He said, the first time you ring him, it cuts off. And it does. You try it. So you ring him, it'll cut off.
Yeah.
Next time you ring it straight away, it rings out, and then he answers.
Not
I've got to
me.
press-
It goes through first time when I phone.
I've gotta-
we have a good 20 minutes on the phone.
I've got to press the decline button to two people now. Robbie and the wife.
The funny thing is about his car. So listen,
You can tell we've all had a coffee
Yeah.
before we came on, can't you?
so his cars, right? His cars.
Yeah.
He works hard and he likes.
You don't have to
he likes-
justify it, Rob.
He likes not. He doesn't like brand new cars, but he likes classic cars. And he's bought this. No, he does, and he's got this. This beautiful car, Lambo, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we were looking around for ages and ages and ages. We're looking at Auto Trade, we're looking at all the magazines, and he keeps coming in every day at the gym. What about this one? What about this one? And then we went to see one in Leeds. And I've got to say, have you seen the size of him? He's 6 foot.
Couldn't get in.
Mate, it's like the Ansel mob. It was, his head was on the roof. That's why his hair comes.
Have you seen Police Academy?
Yeah,
Remember Hightower when he pulls the front seat out?
Yeah.
But do you know the worst thing is that I bought this car. I'll talk about it.
This is a Lambo.
Yeah, all
but
right.
you worked hard for it.
I know, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I wanted it. So I've been around. I'm on Auto Trader with Rob. We went to Yorkshire to look at one. Then I was down in Kent looking at another one. Right, I can't fit in it really. If I try and use the indicator, it gets stuck on my knee. Right? I can't see the sat nav dial because of my legs. I had to have my hair cut because it was squashing my fringe. Like, you know, me thing at the top. And me quiff, I had to lower that because I couldn't get my head in the car. Oh, it broke down. But it's all because it's Robbie's influence. Oh, it's great, that car, mate.
He's
Great,
motivating you to get one.
And
then having motivated you to get one, he then hammers you on a podcast for not being a man of the people
But
anymore.
also as well, this car, right, I love driving it, and it's a nice drive.
It's a great car.
It's fun.
Is it smooth or is it?
No, it's raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. So it's good to drive. But when I get out of it, I feel like a knobhead. Right? Because you've got to press this button, and then with your elbow, you've got to move this door up. You've got to put it up. And
Gullwing doors.
And then I get out.
Yeah.
I get out, I'm like a giraffe having a drink. I've got to get my legs out, and then I'm trying to get out as smooth as I can. The seats are carbon, so they don't move back, so I'm boxed up, right? My ass is wedged in it. I need a tin opener to get out. It's the worst. It's possibly the most expensive thing I've bought, and the worst.
So if you're doing like a supermarket shop,
You
don't go in it. You go in the Kia.
supermarket. I could probably fit some bread and a pint of milk in the boot, which is at the front of the car, which inevitably took me 3 weeks to realise how to open it.
Anyway, that's the car. That's the cars. What have you done this week?
One thing,
What
can
have
I
you
throw
done?
in? Yeah. One thing I did do yesterday night, Cheltenham Literary Festival. I did a joint of it. No, come on.
I just must have missed you. I was there.
Did you do it this year?
Shut up. Yeah.
But I did, the reason I mention it is I did it with Mike Brearley, former England
Oh,
captain.
right. Remember you mentioned that to me in the week.
Yeah, fascinating guy. I'd never met him before. Been to a few functions. I said fascinating guy.
No way.
Freddie started yawning.
We're cut from
But
the
he is.
same cloth, me and Mike.
Yeah, no, but he was really interesting on what it was like to handle Botham and the Ashes series of 1981, and he was a real gentleman. And
Yeah.
what was interesting, though, I've got to tell you, more than half the questions from the audience were about the Ben Stokes controversy, which we're going to come on to. So I'll stop at that point. Fred, Robbie, any interesting things?
Me this week won my game yesterday for my under 12 side. That's not the most important thing. I got a bit of stick on Twitter after our kids in football debate because I said on this podcast, I said that for me, when we played Sandbach, we lost the game 5-1. And people, comment on social media when they've listened to this podcast. And I did say on the podcast, for me, it was all about winning today. We lost 5-1.
Yeah.
And I've listened to it back, and the fellow who picked up on it was right.
Was it Nick Levitt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he
Just so that listeners know, he's quite an eminent youth football coach.
right, yeah, and it was good feedback, to be fair, because when I've listened back, I did say, yeah, I wanted to win. Yeah. And it wasn't about me, but I didn't mean it in the terms of it was all about winning. It was the kids would play that well. They put their heart and soul into it. They played with a smile on their face. And, of course, I would have liked to win for those boys who give everything that day.
I don't think you should be apologetic.
No,
about it. Nothing wrong
I'll
with
be honest
wanting
with
to win.
you. When I take, and Nick might not like this either, but well.
You're not worried about that.
When I take the team I take in cricket, we are playing to win. There's no two bones about it. Obviously, you want to play in the right spirit. You want to play with enjoyment and all those things. But ultimately, sport is about winning. It's about doing it in the correct manner, don't get me wrong. But it's about winning. Kids want to win.
See through coaches who try and insinuate that it doesn't really matter if you win or not. They want to win.
Today,
We're inherently competitive people. This is a team that you co-manage with the controller of Five Live, coincidentally.
What? What? Let's not dust over this.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't hear about this in the podcast. So this is a team that you manage, and the other manager is the controller of Five Live, Jono.
Yeah, it is, John.
Oh, no wonder you're on 606.
Is it right? You're going to be the deputy controller of Five Live next
Well, listen,
year.
I've got you two still in a job, aren't you? Anyway, so today,
Jermaine Jenner's going to take his daughter for netball.
So yesterday, we won the game 6-2. All the boys performed brilliantly well. They enjoyed it. They played with a smile on their face. The young referee done brilliantly well. And do you know what? as much as I enjoy it, the kids were amazing. Jono helped me really well. Jono,
Oh, yeah, I bet he did.
Climb out, Rob.
Yeah, you said he was a real drag on the team before we came on air.
Anyway, what have you done this week, Fred?
What do you call him? Mr. Demotivator.
What have you done this week, Andrew? Or should I say, Kevin?
Kevin.
Oh.
This week.
Rehearsals.
This week I took the first steps to becoming Kevin Murgatroyd.
Wow.
What's his second name?
Murgatroyd.
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 What's the premise of the musical?
Well, it's Fat Friends. In the 90s, massive TV show. James Corden was in it and all these guys. And then Kay Mellor, who is fantastic, has written the musical. She's directing it. Music's done by Nick Lloyd Webber.
Wow.
Curly Watts is in it. Curly Watts,
No
Kevin
way,
Kennedy.
Lofty?
Oh,
Massive Man City fan.
He's
No, hang on. No,
Curly Lofty's EastEnders.
yeah, sorry.
Massive Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Lofty.
Somebody else.
Curly's Man City.
Yeah.
Big Man City
Yeah.
fan, wants to go to a game against Arsenal. So you got
Go with Curly.
Jodie.
Lofty.
Let's go with anyone.
Lofty and
Let's go
Curly.
with Dirty Den and Rita. Hey? But he's Jodie Prenger, made him. All these people. You turn up, and we spoke last week, didn't we, about being outside your comfort zone. This was a different level.
Was it?
Well, you go in, and I've learnt my lines, and I didn't know what to expect, so they're all moving things. And then they start singing as a group, and I was just moving my mouth, nothing coming out, because they were so good. Even in warm-ups, you do musical warm-up, and you walk around the room going, la 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 la, and all that. And I'm doing it where nobody can hear me, because I'm so insecure about the singing. Because no matter how much I practice, I'm never going to be
As good as
them. I've just got to be the best I can be that fits the character. But
I got a text on Tuesday.
Have you sung on your own? Have
Matthew.
they heard you?
yeah,
I got a text Tuesday off him, which I thought you sent me a text on Tuesday. How's it going? But a bit out my depth, which for
for the
Fred,
first time in ages. Like the acting stuff, I think I'm all right with, but the singing, like the first time I sang in front of the cast, because they know my background. I'm not a musical theatre
Have
person.
they been welcoming?
Do you know what? I cannot fault them. It's been lovely. They've been so nice. Lovely. Where am I? I've got a musical theatre. That'd have been bloody lovely, darling. They've been amazing. So supportive. Because I've got that feeling at times thinking, oh, who do you think he is? Him? He can come here and do this. So I've been getting my head down, working hard, but singing in front of them for the first time was something I broke through, and now I'm a bit more confident.
Good
But
for you.
what a work to go. But do you know what? I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm really bizarrely enjoying it. It's completely different, but everyone's so good and nice. I like singing.
Yeah.
I might say just smiling a lot. So it's
But doesn't
good
that
fun.
go back to what you were saying last week, that when you have that feeling in your pit of your stomach, you need to go through it, and then you get better and you become more comfortable?
There was a time this week, and I remember doing it. On the Monday, I turned up. I was just having a laugh with it all, just finding it all very humorous and, this is weird and strange and new. And then as the week went on, probably by about Wednesday, it was, hang on a minute now.
Yeah, it's proper.
Switch on.
Yeah.
Switch on.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I can't wait to get cracking. Backing down rehearsals all week this week.
November
as well.
the 7th, first show.
Yeah, Leeds.
Wow.
Leeds,
We'll be
Grand
there.
Fat
We'll be there.
Friends.
We'll be there, Matthew.
Tell you what, have we got it in the diary? Are you going, Mike? Yeah, the producer's going.
I can get you.
Jono will be there. Probably.
Do you know what?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, it'd be his
Free
day,
tickets.
won't it? It'd be Rob's day. Be sharing Maltesers with him. Won't he? Hey?
Don't be jealous,
We
boys.
have
Don't be jealous.
two straws and a bottle of Prosecco, them two.
Yeah, the
Linking
T-boys.
arms. Pathetic, savage. Pathetic. Let's move on.
Yeah, topic number one, and this, we have had so many tweets about this. A lot of people very keen to get Freddie's perspective, 2 or 3 also looking to hear Robbie's. Ben Stokes. That was mainly him under pseudonyms. Ben Stokes, he's not travelling to Australia with the team on the 28th of October. A video has been released of him, it looks like, in a brawl with people at a nightclub. Question is, should Stokes play in the Ashes? One of the best players, a talismanic player, or should he be sanctioned for behaving in a way that a lot of people think is completely unacceptable for somebody wearing the England kit? Can I start with you, Fred? This is obviously a tough one.
It is a tough one, and I've been badgered ever since it happened for comment. And I've fallen out with a few people over it because I got a message from a BBC reporter on Twitter asking to do it, and I said, nothing to do with me. And then related it to some of the stuff I do. So I just tore him a new one saying, hang on a minute, mate. That's nothing to do. I tried to get on a little plastic boat in the West Indies. This is
totally different.
very, very different. And there's a few sides to it, to be honest. Before we get on to Ben, I've not enjoyed the way it's been portrayed. I think some people, ex-players, ex-captains, people in the media, People have tried to make a name for themselves through Ben. You know, before any facts came out, before anything came to light about what happened, all of a sudden people are jumping to assumptions, aren't they? Saying this has happened, getting column inches in national newspapers. Well, actually, this is a police investigation. There's something going on. We've seen the video. I've watched the video, and then you see it, and my interpretation of it is he looks like he's trying to do a good thing to begin with, but it's very hard. There's always two sides to everything, and we're not going to hear Ben's side for a while because the police are investigating something.
Should we just put some context on that? I mean, so a source close to Stokes has said that he initially got involved in the fight to protect two gay men who he worried would be the subject of a homophobic assault. Obviously, the police investigation hasn't taken its course yet. I agree with you 100%. It is in a category completely distinct from having a bit of a drunken escapade on a pedalo. And I think we need to emphasise that this is a police investigation. It's not just a matter of conduct. This is a criminal investigation. But as you say, presumption of innocence. We don't yet know all the facts. We haven't heard the full side of Ben's side of the story. I want to ask you some of the principles involved in a minute, Fred. But shall I just... Fred, Rob, what's your take on it?
Well, I've seen the video as well, and as Fred says, we don't know the circumstances. I'm just putting myself in that situation. If as a sportsman, not somebody who's well known as Ben Stokes, obviously, but in situations I would have found myself in the Ben Stokes scenario. You know, with my mates, I've been in nightclubs, I've been in situations where there's nothing. This is being completely honest. There would have been nothing more than I would have liked is to have a ruck with somebody. Because whether they
provoked you,
massively, massively. Whether it's been spat at, whether it's been goaded in a nightclub, whether it's people, trying it on with your missus in a nightclub. Mm-hmm. I had one scenario once when I was in Wilmslow, and me and my wife Sarah were sitting at a table, and this guy had a few drinks, and he was quite a big fella. Come, put a chair next to my wife and sat there and didn't move. Stared at her, and I was thinking, what do I do here? Uh-huh. What do I do here? So there's nothing more I would have liked to have done is to say, "Oh, you mate," and I'd have up with him.
Yeah,
but I couldn't. I had to think. Hang on a minute. Or if I do something here, I'm in massive trouble. So if I don't know the situation of Ben Stokes, but I've been in situations where, and this might sound wrong, it might sound right. I would have loved to have a ruck with people who have goaded me, who have spat at me, who have insulted me, who's insulted my family, who's insulted my friends, but I just couldn't. I had to hold back.
I suppose it's worth making a distinction between the level of provocation that you get as famous people. You're a magnet to those who want to cause trouble and get in the newspaper. It doesn't mean you have to act on the provocation, of course. Doesn't mean that you have to start a ruck. But is the provocation?
But you're human.
Well, quite. Go on, Fred.
I've been in that position before, but I'm not necessarily an aggressive person. For me to go and have a fight, I think I'd have to get hit first. Yep. Someone would have to hit me first or something.
Self-defense.
Protecting someone, which I think Ben's protective instincts kicked in. You watch Ben Stokes as a cricketer. You watch him on a cricket field. You watch if anybody has a go at any of the team. Who's the first man in there protecting everyone? He's got that protective nature. He's got protective instincts. You watch him when it's kicking off. He'll always get involved. He'll stand up for his teammates. He'll stand up for his mates. If there's a big moment in any game, Ben Stokes, he is in there. He has got that side to his temperament where he's up for the battle. And I think we saw that in that clip when he was out and about. In some ways, you can't have the player without the personality, but it has to be tempered. Yep. It has to be helped to control that temper, control that character. And also, I don't understand how he's in this position. I don't understand how he's out in Bristol at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning on his own with Alex Hales. We've had security with the England team since I was playing. Whether he snuck out, whether he didn't want to tell anyone, I'm not for 1 second. I know Red Jude as a security saying he didn't do his job, but shouldn't be in that position. But there's the other side of it where Ben actually, I think, needs some help. Yeah. It's easy to have a go at him and easy to put him down. And I'm not for 1 second, dusting over what he's done because someone's been hurt in this, and but Ben as well, I worry about.
Can I ask briefly? Robbie said that he gets provoked. People will come over and deliberately try and needle him to get into a fight because that will make the newspapers. Did you have any experience of that? And a lot of the people in the commentary about Stokes was, well, if he does go to the Ashes, the Aussies are going to needle him. And if he goes out anywhere in public, people have... Just give us, what was it like for you?
They're going to do that anyway. You go to Australia and it's a different place to go. It really is. You know, you travel over there, even the immigration people, even the people when you get there hard work. Oh, they are, yeah. They make you empty your bags and everything. They say, you got any wood in there, mate? I said, well, I've come here to play cricket. There's a good chance there's a couple of bats in there. You know, let me see them. Are your shoes clean? You got to clean your boots. And they don't make anything easy.
Yeah.
I think that was a thing we found in 2006-07. As soon as we got there, everywhere we went, people driving past, winding the windows down just to let you know how bad you are.
Really?
And then even when you're eating, people, it's just it was a different place. So, well, Ben's not going at this moment in time.
Let me present a hypothetical. If it turns out, having heard the evidence, that he went way too far, the violence was unjustifiable, do you think that a governing body of sport has a responsibility to issue a sanction against a player, like missing the Ashes, because otherwise it sends all the wrong signals to young people that you're allowed to play so long as you're good enough, even if you go and beat someone up?
Yeah.
Where's the line?
They've got to... Well, the line is... The line is pretty simple. I think there's laws in this land. And I think sometimes as a sportsman or sometimes as someone in the public eye, especially when you're a bit younger, you almost think they don't apply to you as much. And then you take them, not for granted a little bit, but you push the boundaries a little bit of what you can do and what you can't do. But surely it's a case of you're innocent till proven guilty, aren't you? But I can understand Andrew Strauss and the ECB have to do something. They just can't let that slide.
Yeah.
I don't know. I genuinely,
Difficult,
don't know. There'll be more people than me who write columns on cricket who all have an opinion, and everyone's loving it, I think, because that people are reading the pieces. But what is the right outcome?
Brearley said the same thing.
I don't know.
I feel deeply conflicted by it as well, because Brearley said he doesn't know the full context, and therefore it's difficult to issue a judgment. But he had different circumstances for sure. But he had people in the England team who occasionally behaved in a way that was unacceptable. But he wanted to have the best players in the team. He wanted to give them help to overcome some of the problems that they have psychologically or otherwise. But at the same time, you don't want to give a blank check for the best players to do whatever they want, knowing that pragmatically you want them in the team. Because otherwise, Rob, where do you think, as a general rule, in football, cricket or anywhere else, where is the line? That if a player crosses it, you say, sorry, you're not playing for our club for a certain period of time?
Where is the line? I think all clubs will have their own disciplinary action. For instance, when I played, you weren't allowed to drink 48 hours before a game.
You know, it was compulsory for us.
And in recent times, you've had all the debate about Sergio Aguero. Was he wrong or was he right to be in Amsterdam after the Champions League game before a big game on the weekend? And he was involved, obviously, in that taxi incident when the taxi crashed. He broke a rib. That could have happened anywhere. And I've got no problem with Aguero being in Amsterdam on a day off, because, Matthew, it would have took him longer to get to London on a train from Manchester than it would have to Amsterdam. He probably got a private jet. He lives in Manchester.
He can chill out in Amsterdam, can't he? Wink, wink.
He was probably coming back. He was probably coming back on the plane the same night.
Yeah.
So that taxi, unfortunately, could have happened anywhere, but it was highlighting more kids out of the country. I've got no problem with that. I think far too much was made about that. Obviously, in terms of being out of the country, obviously, but we wish him all the best to get better soon. Yeah. And it's a loss for Man City.
I'm trying to find out where you're going to draw the line. Let's say it was the day before.
That's
2 days
unacceptable.
before.
Day before is unacceptable.
Okay, what would you do as a manager? Remember, they don't have curfews in the England cricket team. They're supposed to be adults.
You shouldn't have curfews. I always struggle with curfews.
People break curfews.
So what would you do then if they're out in drinking a day before a game? What would you do?
A day before?
Yeah.
You're all right, 3 or 4 pints is fine. What?
The day before a game?
What? I'd draw the line at 7. What?
So listen, 3 days, Matthew. The incident happened 3 days before the next one day. I have got I've got no problem with that.
Okay.
Going out and enjoying a drinking session with a teammate 3 days before. And let's be fair, was it a 2020 or a 50 over game? 50 over game. So,
By the way, Jake Ball, Liam Plunkett,
Yeah.
Johnny Bairstow, all undisclosed fines for unprofessional conduct because of their late return to the hotel.
3 days before the game.
Yeah, but to me, this is one of them, right?
OTT.
I remember the Pedalo incident, and it's all gone.
Do you remember it?
I remember waking up
On the beach, wasn't it?
in my bed somehow, sand and water and everything everywhere. I thought, what happened last night? extra, read all about it. So we turn up, right? And then next day there's a crisis team meeting called, and we walked into a room, the team room, and there's a flip chart up, all with our initials on. And then one by one, Duncan Fletch said, I want you to get up there and write your name on the board, what time you came in.
Really?
So the lads are going up one by one, and some lads are putting 12:30. Some have come up with a very, very, what's the word?
Good excuse.
Not excuse, but collaborated to make sure they were fine. Because a 12 o'clock curfew had just came
An
out.
alibi.
We've never had an alibi. We've never had a 12 o'clock curfew. So lads have got up and put 2 o'clock, 3:30. They get fined. The bowling coach, bless him, he'd not seen his brother for 10 years. He bumped into him for a few pints. Not been out all winter. 12:30 fined.
No.
So this curfew came from nowhere. I went up there, put 3:30. I did myself out of 2 hours. Apparently, I got in at 1:30. So I'm not really on with curfews, but just moving this on a little bit.
Yeah.
We can argue the toss on the timing, this, that, and the other. The problem is, irrespective of if there was a game 2 or 3 days later, is he got into a fight?
Yeah.
That is the main problem here. That is it. That is the problem. He's got into a fight.
Yeah.
He's punched a lad who's gone over.
I'm really glad you say that, because we've had a bit of a joke about drinking and where you should draw the line, but violence is morally in a completely different category. None of us would ever justify or legitimate what Stokes did to that person, even though we still need to find out the context. I think that's absolutely
It's horrible.
crucial.
I saw it when I was younger, out and about in Preston, and it goes off, and you get that horrible feeling in your pit of your stomach. When we was in Ibiza and that little fracard kicked off in front of us, you remember?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
I get sickened by it. I
It
hate
turns
violence.
your stomach,
Yeah.
and I reckon Ben, he's had a lot of time to think about this, be interested to see what happened. But just throwing another thing into the mix, right?
Yeah.
I'm a massive Ben Stokes fan, and I'll back him up every day, and I'll speak about it. The hardest part for this, for me, has been actually explaining it to me kids.
Yeah.
My kids idolise Ben Stokes. They idolise Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root. They see things about what's happened. They've seen it in the press. They're on phones and social media. And when they ask, Dad, what's Ben Stokes done? How do I convey that to my kids? How do I tell them that?
Just because somebody is a great sports person and potentially a very good guy who you get on with, it doesn't mean that everything they do in their personal life is to be admired or copied. And it's worth saying once more, there is a presumption of innocence. He hasn't yet been charged, so we don't know the full facts. Can I ask one other question related? Getting a nod from Mike as well. Tell you what really struck me listening to what you were saying about being provoked in nightclubs. It's not something that when you're low profile as an ex-table tennis player, you don't get anything like that. So it's difficult to imagine what it would be like to be in your shoes with your friends, having a drink with people hitting on your wife or spitting on you. That's horrendous. And trying to deal with that, particularly a young footballer or a young cricketer who might be saying, what is that like for a young famous man suddenly getting a lot of money?
When I was 19, I moved away from at 15, went to Salford to 19, never went out because the just wanted to be a footballer. So I had my first beer at 19, and it was the only pint I've ever had in my life, and must have been a bad pint, and I was physically sick so much after it. Never touched a drop of beer again, so that was a good thing. Then I signed for Leicester, and I remember those were the days when, I had my wife. I've been going at my wife for, a considerable number of years now. So, one scenario was when I signed for Birmingham, we were in a nightclub, me and my wife and all our friends. And I remember a young lady came up to me.
How many days before the game?
It was 3 days before the game. Yeah, 3 days before the game.
Yeah, okay.
And it was the most surreal experience ever. So I was standing there, my mates up from Wrexham, because you look, and Freddie will know this, when you get to a stage of your life, you want to look after your mates. You want to look after your mates all the time anyway. But the thing is, when you grow up with these people, that when you get quite successful and start earning a few quid, all you want to do is look after your mates and your best mates from school, take them out and not show off to them, but spoil them because
Just want to share everything.
share everything with them.
People.
You know, and that's what I'm still like now. You want to share with them, so when we go away,
He's amazing at that. To be fair.
no, you do, because without those people around you, you wouldn't be where you are. So we get into the nightclub. My mates are with me. My wife's sitting with their friends on a table. Anyway, this young lady comes up and she says, "Oh, you signed for Birmingham, blah blah blah." And I saw my wife sitting over there because the first thing you say, my wife's over there, you know. And she said, "Oh, which one's your wife?" So I said, "Obviously the best looking one, isn't he?" So anyway, she came over and she went, right. Anyway, she stood there and she took her knickers off in front of me, took them over the shoes, and then went over to my wife and screwed them up and threw them in my wife's face.
No.
Honestly,
Gosh.
swear.
So
Yeah, honestly.
some woman's taken the knickers off, wrapped them in a shoe, and
No, not she just wrapped up, screwed them up, and threw them in my wife's face. And my wife said, "What was all that about?" I said, "I've no idea." And it was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? And this was like one of the first experiences, you know,
Of what fame can
what
potentially
fame could do. And it was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? And the same you got to look at as well, Matthew. You know, and being a famous person or sportsman as a Premier League player, Championship, whatever, or cricketer, you know, you can flip it as well.
Yeah.
You can flip it around as well. You know.
You can take advantage of your fame, and actually, to be honest, I mean, what's worth saying if it's consensual. I mean, it's up to people how they live in their own private lives. I suppose if you're married, that complicates it to a very large extent. But I think it is quite interesting insight for people who haven't been in the England cricket team or a Premier League football team, that you go into a public place, you're being noticed, and people ask for autographs. We know about that. But the being provoked by other guys and potentially wanting a fight.
I had beer. I was in a nightclub. Do you remember what were you probably know fair about this? You know, we used to go to this wine bar in Wrexham, and you could buy cans. Is it Stella? Is it Stella? There were cans.
Yeah.
And I remember I was against the wall, and I had 3 cans of beer hit the wall behind me and exploded.
Really?
Yeah, I was 19, and I was I was playing for Crewe. I was Wrexham Crewe rivals, and I was there with a few of my mates, and 3 cans hit the wall behind me and exploded. If they'd have hit me in the face. Wow, honestly, they threw that hard.
Yeah.
They hit the wall behind me and went everywhere.
Well, this might
And
be.
this is what people don't see. That this is what people don't see. That all we are was human beings.
How did they miss your nose?
I was standing straight on, not sideways. Hey! But as I've said, I've been provocated so many times. Beer cans struck my head. I've said spatter. I've been punched in the head when I had my son. I've said that before on the podcast.
Wow.
Somebody come out of the crowd and punch me in the head and run. You've had horrible things said on social media, where if you've seen the person, you'd probably have a scrap with him. You would, because I'm not.
Would it be
I
worth...
understand in terms of sometimes as a sportsman, you're a human being and your head can go. Your head can go.
Yeah.
But the consequences for you as that sportsman will be more devastating than a guy in the street.
And it's probably worth saying that even though celebrity, there are some challenges, there's lots of upsides too. And I'm sure you'd probably agree that the upsides are somewhat more than the downsides. Yeah. And just to reiterate, I just want to make this as clear as possible, because we chatted about it before we came on air. With the Stokes thing, there's a massive difference between going out and being drunk and compromising your performance and getting involved in a fight. So let's wait to see what happens. And last point,
One final thought on Ben. Do you know, one of the things that I found, even now and through a career, is, do you know when things are going well? Everyone's around you. Yeah. Everyone wants to be your mate. Everyone's like wanting to go out and buy you drinks, and you look around and you got all these people around you. Now, all of a sudden, Ben's in a bit of a pickle. And I just hope, I know with Neil Fairbrother, who looked after me when I was playing, who looks after Ben, he's got a great man there, and he'll have great teammates around him. He needs looking after. And I'm not, for 1 second...
Who looked after you, Fred? Who looked after you?
Neil Fairbrother, wife, friends.
You had a support network that helped you through the tough moments.
I did, but I was always not good at asking for help. It always got to a point of I needed almost like an intervention as opposed to asking for something. And I think Ben's at that point now. And I'm not saying what he did wasn't terrible and the bloke he's hit and all that, fine. But I'm just parking that for one side now, and I'm just solely Ben Stokes. In some ways, for me, you read some of the things that have been happening, and he's been living by the seat of his pants for a little bit now. And he's experienced that life in the public media. He's had this meteoric rise to stardom, which is always sometimes hard to cope with to begin with. You enjoy it, you reap the benefits out of it. But now, you know, he's had this thing where his eyes have been wide open. And hopefully this could be, in a bizarre way, the making of Ben Stokes. Not as a cricketer, because we know how good he is, but as a person. And he'll wake up to what it is. And I just hope it's not the end of him. Because I think if that was the case, you've got to give him a chance to redeem himself. And knowing Ben as he does as a cricketer and a little bit as a person, he'll be desperate to do that. And I just hope we give him that opportunity.
I'm with you. He deserves a second chance. Rehabilitation is an absolute cornerstone of any civilised society.
5 Live Sport.
5 Live's Young Commentator of the Year competition is back.
And we're on the search for a radio commentary star.
Pumping his legs, going for the try, he's in the right corner, running underneath the post.
Do you know a young person aged 11 to 15 who loves listening to 5 Live Sport and wants to have a go for themselves?
All they have to do is go to bbc.co.uk/young commentator.
What an opportunity. Easy decision this.
Enter before midnight on Friday the 27th of October and they could win a money can't buy commentary experience.
It's a beautiful delivery.
See website for terms and conditions.
Young Commentator of the Year from BBC 5 Live.
We're going to segue into topic number 2 here, which isn't unrelated to what we touched on briefly there, which is it's about parenting. What are we teaching our kids? What do our kids actually want to be when they grow up? What do they aspire to? Because I'm conscious of the fact that reality TV like Geordie Shore, The Only Way is Essex, we talked about Kiss and Tell, girls who become famous for a one-night stand with a sports star. Are our kids looking to follow in the footsteps of reality television stars rather than true role models? We've talked about parenting before. I think your perspective has been genuinely really, really interesting. I worry about this a lot as a father of a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Robbie, what's your sort of take on this?
Well, I played in the Wembley Cup on Saturday at Wembley, 35. The Wembley Cup, so it's hashtag
Wembley Cup was at Wembley. Yeah,
so it's the Wembley Cup. Yeah, it was my 3rd time I played there, Matthew.
Was this the biggest game?
It was one of the biggest games. It was hashtag United, which is a guy called Spencer FC. He created the side, and he played against the Techers Town, who were the F2 freestylers.
Whoa.
Yeah,
you have to explain that.
Spencer vs Techers United.
Yeah. So Spencer FC created this team called hashtag United, and Spencer FC has got about millions of YouTube followers, social media followers. F2s have got about 6 million followers between them. YouTube, they all create these YouTube channels.
So, who are these? Who are these people creating
the F2 guys are people who do skills, and all the kids this day and age will watch them. They do tricks. They get involved with Premier League players, you know, Ronaldo, all these people. They show them tricks, freestylers, you know, and these YouTubers who played in the game will have, you know, they'll play FIFA at home. It's incredible to see 35,000 people at the game. 20,000 would have been kids, yeah. My sons went to the game, right? And in the car on the way down, they weren't saying they want to see Steven Gerrard, Robbie Fowler, these people. They were saying, I want to see KSI, I want to see Rota Sean.
Who?
Rota Sean. They're YouTubers, Fred. It's
what do they do? Like what KS?
So KSI will make videos. They used to play FIFA.
Of what though? What are these people doing?
YouTube,
I don't know.
Yeah, but they'll go and interview like famous people, Matt Damon. Like they'll just create YouTube channels, and when they get subscribers, they can earn.
They monetize it.
Millions.
They're making content.
Millions, Matthew. Yeah. Millions. There's people on YouTube who open boxes. Just open boxes, and
they do what?
Open boxes. There's people who got YouTube.
Boxes of what?
Just put a box with something in it.
What do you mean boxes of what?
So if you've got a present, a box.
I get that. Huh?
Yeah. So you'll film it, and you'll just open the box, and look, we've got in the box today. And
what's in it?
Well, it could be anything.
Like what? I don't know.
Anything.
I
It
can't
could
get
be
my head around this.
Like a toy or a football or anything.
In a box.
Yeah, and
What, and opening the box gets people to view it?
yeah, millions of people view it, right? And it's so many
Millions.
millions, yeah,
Millions.
yeah. So this game,
So hang on a minute. Whoa.
Yeah.
Right. So who are the clever people in this, right? On one hand, you've got a box opener,
yeah,
right? Who's opening a box.
who's making millions?
With Postman Patton or
Yeah.
Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
Or a football.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you got some bloke on my right, Matthew Syed,
Yeah.
who's writing 2,000 words in the Times that nobody reads. Who's the clever one here?
So yeah.
This is a
Correct.
conundrum.
So my boys yesterday.
Hang on, what's this got to do with the question?
The question is,
Why?
What are kids? What the
Oh,
kids
yeah,
will aspire
right.
to be-
They want to
No.
be like these.
No, I'm saying is Matthew. So one of my boys is at an academy. Does he? I believe he wants to be a footballer, obviously, because he loves football. But when I'm saying now, my interpretation of, I always thought my sons, great education. Will they be? What do they want to be? Doctor, vet, pilot, writer, whatever they want to be is their choice. Obviously, one of my sons wants to be a footballer.
Yeah.
Probably they both want to be footballers. But the reality of that is probably, listen, they're both exceptional and they're great. But,
Be careful what you say now.
But the reality is, in terms of percentages, it is very, very small.
Yeah.
So my interpretation of what he wants to be next all changed yesterday because I'm seeing these kids, right? And I've never seen anything like it. You had Steven Gerrard, you had all these players, football players, legends. I was called a legend, by the way, for the first time in this game, which was absolute nonsense. It was embarrassing walking out on the pitch, you know.
Stop playing it
Yeah.
down.
So anyway, but all the people around these YouTubers yesterday who make millions of pounds, by the way, if they're a successful YouTuber, because it'd be like any industry, you'll get one guy, something works.
But I think this is a different. I mean, I'm with Fred on this. It sounds to me that these people are very creative. They understand
That's
what
what I mean.
kind of content.
I'm glad you've said that because Series 3 we're going to have Flintoff Savage in the box opener. Sorry, Matthew, we're getting some creative people and you've got a few followers.
Matthew, so these, there's a guy called Joe Weller, you know,
Paul Weller?
Joe Weller.
Like pebbles on a beach,
Yeah, but
kicked around
it's
this
bizarre,
place by
Matthew.
feet.
Kids of today, do they want to be? Do they want to?
Not his best song.
They see these YouTubers now, right? So you can play FIFA. You know, these some of these YouTubers will play FIFA and open packs on FIFA.
Yeah.
So people listen to this. So basically, my kids will sit at home. You can get FIFA points, right? You buy FIFA points and then you'll get special packs. You might pay $9.99. This pack comes through and it goes dring like that. And
Do that again.
Yeah, dring, and a star player will come out. And these YouTubers film themselves doing that, and my kids watch it all the time.
What do they look like, these YouTubers? Are they really pasty and
Trendy.
missing the
No.
light of day?
Trendy people, you know.
See, I'm less worried about that. I mean, I think Fred's right. These are clearly people who are sophisticated in the way they're interacting with their consumers, which are young people. They're monetizing it. They've got successful entrepreneurial businesses.
Yeah.
What I worry about are things like The Only Way is Essex.
Oh, hang on.
Where you're on.
Yeah, but just getting back to Robbie's football.
Yeah,
Like yesterday. No, this is not aimed at you.
yeah,
You've got you, Steven Gerrard,
yeah. Robbie Fowler.
Robbie Fowler, Emileski,
Yeah.
right? All doing this. You've been employed by these kids yesterday.
Leveraged.
They bought you for the day.
But to
No,
be
I'm
fair,
not.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying a thing
We
like that
would-
because I do things where people pay me to turn up. You've turned up for these pasty kids, right? So you can't really have a go at them.
I'm
You
not,
just say,
no, no.
Did you get
I've
paid
gone
for
the
it?
other way.
Did you get paid?
What?
Did you get paid for it?
What?
Of course you did.
But, yeah, but
You've got your speeches. He's got
Yeah,
his
exactly.
football.
So it's a
but
game-
they've leveraged your profile.
But Matthew,
to,
can I just
they
say?
sound like
but can
smart
I,
people.
But
to
can I
me.
just
But
say?
no rules.
Yeah.
Can I just say? We wouldn't have to have been there, and they would have still got 35,000 because the people turned out to watch.
What were they like,
Two.
Rob?
It was good. Hashtag United play every week. But I'm saying is,
How did you play?
all right. I made a couple of crunching tackles.
Crunching tackles.
Tackles. There's a guy called Sean Garnier. He's the best freestyler in the world.
Yeah.
And it was like, so I was 10 minutes, you're allowed to have a boost because EE sponsored the day and it was called Boost. So you're allowed to boost your side after 10 minutes. So they brought Steven Gerrard on. So what Martin Keown, who was our manager, brought me and Robbie Fowler on and it was called a boost. Anyway, this Sean Garnier, who all the kids listen to this podcast, my kids know him. That's Sean Garnier, the best freestyler in the world. Anyway, in the middle of the park, and he was like, he got the ball, and I've just come on, and he's about 5 yards away from me, and he started doing all this freestyle. So I thought, right, he's having money.
Yeah, but...
Run into him, smashed him. Not on purpose. I tried to get near him.
He was showboating. I ran into him.
I can picture the scene now. You got this bloke who's giving it all out, and you just run over like Indiana Jones.
But it was an amazing experience. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying that the days have gone, I believe, in some kids where you will want to be a doctor, a pilot, a electrician, a plumber. They're seeing the generations change. We've got to accept it. Social media is massive. And when you said about reality TV, when you see, for instance, Love Island, I talked about Love Island. When you see Kem and Chris, who have now got a song out, who are presenting on ITV, why wouldn't your kids, right, they see what's happening to those, probably monetizing it. Do you have to be clever to do that? Yes or no? I don't know what the thing is. Are they really clever and intelligent, or are they just making the most of it? But they are now. It's an easy way to make money. Yeah. It's an easy way to get famous, if you like. So is it a bad thing or a good thing?
Well, this is exactly the point. I think it is a terrible thing if young people think they can get a shortcut to success and money and fame by falling out of a nightclub or pulling a professional league footballer, because life isn't just about arriving at some destination that is as superficial as all of that. It should be a journey. Think about how you guys became good at your sports. You had to practice. You had to have and go through setbacks and challenges. And then when you get to the top, it actually means something. To be a successful side.
That's the question.
Sean Garnier.
He was
he's related to Laboratoire.
But he's the world's best freestyler, Fred, and he's amazing. What I'm saying is, Matthew,
did you understand it when you left? No, I mean that genuinely.
Understand?
What do you understand the appeal?
Yeah, massively.
When you've left, because you're telling me that these are box openers.
Yeah.
They do this. They play FIFA online.
Yeah.
I've seen my daughter watch someone called Zoella.
Yeah.
And I can't. Spending time with them, have you appreciated what they do?
After the game, Fred, my boys having photos with all these YouTubers, getting the shirt signed, and it's like appreciate now that the generations change. To make my point, we got Stanley who works on the show, so I'm going to bring Stanley in. He come to the game with me at the weekend. He went to school, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, Manchester.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he went, and he's got a history degree. So,
yep.
Stan, you've seen these YouTubers. You grew up with the YouTubers. All your effort in getting a history degree. Would you rather be in your situation now as a graduate, or 21 years of age, or somebody who's on reality TV or a YouTuber entrepreneur?
Well, not really reality TV, but more YouTube. When you grow up watching them when you're 13, and then you stop watching when I was about 15, but then when they get 17, buy a Lamborghini. I'm about to apply to university. I come out, I'm 30 grand in debt, and they've got Lamborghinis, financial freedom. It's more that than anything really.
So you would. That's a good point, though. When you go to university now with student tuition fees and debts that accumulate, I can sort of understand what you're saying, because the thing is, how would you get into that area? How would you break in? How would you ensure that you are able to have a niche? And I guess it's a very competitive marketplace.
Well, look at the ones yesterday. All of them do FIFA. There was about, how many were there? 20? And they all do FIFA videos. And that was their thing. And they appeal to 12, 13-year-olds.
Why did you not do it then? Because you're very good at FIFA. Am I right in thinking you're in the top 100 in the world?
No, but I'm decent at it. I don't know. They're not even decent players. They just do it entertaining.
But has it crossed your mind to then think, you know what, why don't I try this? I've got a lot of time on my hands. I've been a student. I don't do out. Why don't I put a few videos on?
Because you're of the age now where you would relate to of that generation of kids playing FIFA.
Yeah, probably, because I can relate to your lads playing it. Like, they asked me about it and stuff, but when you're watching it when I was 13, it wasn't really a thing. There was one guy, KSI, he was the only one. And then I watched him, and he now he's obviously making millions a year doing that and got financial freedom. But
it
it didn't really cross my mind then because he was in a little room just recording himself, making videos, and it wasn't really about the money.
But
and then you see the money when you're years on.
So, sorry to interrupt, but we've chatted a lot about your history degree, your thesis that you're interested in. You've enjoyed that degree. You've enjoyed the intellectual stimulation.
What did you write your thesis on?
That was on the World War II. I know which one you're getting at. But
Which one, Stanley?
The subject was sex, drugs, and shopping, and you're talking about the essay I wrote on the cult of the clitoris. That's what.
You did a thesis on the cult of the clitoris. You never mentioned that to me.
It was on Into All Britain. It was on Into All Britain. It was a different time.
Getting on here.
Is that a real thesis?
It's not my thesis. It was an essay I had to write.
Do you think? Do you know we've spoken about opening boxes? We've spoken about FIFA. We've spoken about this, that, and the other. And the argument is, I suppose, people going on YouTube for no apparent reason. Now, you, Stanley, as an educated lad with your degree and your moral views, which for a lad of your age are amazing. Yeah. Have you not? Is there not a market for doing some good on a YouTube channel, educating kids? Yeah. Putting things across. Is there a gap in the market, or would they not care? Well, you look box open.
Unboxing is massive. Like they do laptops, phones, everything. I don't get it myself, but it's weird to me.
I'm mystified by this.
Honestly, it's strange.
You've got people who lick things, who go and lick famous.
There are, Rob.
Thanks for pointing it out.
I think that's your 10-minute section at night.
Seriously, they do.
That's...
They lick the buildings and stuff. They film themselves doing it. It's true.
Stan, if you were to say whether or not now, given what Fred and Robbie have said, they admire your passion for your education. You've written some great essays and terrific thesis, and you have an opportunity to go and join a YouTube outfit. Not guaranteed a lot of money, but there's a chance. Would you really sacrifice everything you've achieved in history and the career path that you probably have ahead of you for that opportunity?
It's not really the YouTube, but it's more just the financial freedom there. They are entrepreneurs after. Like, it's not even the YouTube that a lot of them make the money off. It's they sell clothes that are just, in my opinion, shocking, but they have the clothes there.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah, Rob.
Sorry.
Anyway. They have the clothes, all these different other businesses, and it's just more the financial freedom that they have. And what... I could go get a graduate job, but these guys they can do whatever they want.
And are we doing them a disservice then by just saying they open a box?
Tell you what strikes me about all this.
Grayson?
Is, as you get into your 20s and 30s, you still feel young. Then you get into your 40s. We're all in our 40s, are we?
No.
What are you?
December.
Sorry. But don't you think you suddenly realise there's a younger generation coming along with a totally different conception of the world, and you feel slightly distanced from it?
I'll be completely honest with you now. I've listened to this, Robbie, and he's talking about these people. I'm thinking, what can I do on YouTube? What can I do to get...
But
you could open up the door to the Lamborghini.
Oh, hey.
Thank you very much, Stanley. Now, go behind there, and I think Fred wants a coffee. Let me ask you two a question then. Right? Freddie's got 3 young kids. You've got 2. Right. If your son says, right, Dad, I'm going to go on Love Island. Yeah.
No.
I'm going to go on Love Island or Geordie Shore. I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to be creative and make a lot of money quickly. Or I'm going to study to be a journalist.
I would say that those kinds of places are completely arbitrary. How do you get onto Love Island? How do you become famous enough to go on Big Brother? You have to do something bizarre, like fall out. I mentioned it earlier, 4 out of a nightclub, sleep with the right person at the right time, do something perhaps a little bit degrading. Whereas, if you want to be a great scientist or businessman, I think these guys, the YouTubers, sound like fantastic entrepreneurs. That takes dedication.
They are, yeah.
It takes courage. You have to stay at school. You have to go through university, and then you work your way up. And when you get to the top, you can say, I've achieved something fantastic, rather than go into this completely capricious realm of reality television. It's superficial. I don't think it's got the kind of substance that you have in other careers. And one other thing that really worries me about it is that if kids think that success can happen instantly, where would they develop the resilience to do things that actually require genuine...
But it is happening.
But that's lovely, and it's a nice thought. And I don't watch Tower. I've never seen it.
Me neither.
Right, and I never will watch it. But then I look at, and you know some of the people on it. You got that Joey Essex lad, who's, he's not going to join Mensa anytime soon. And you've got, Gemma Collins,
Arj,
and these people. And I think, you know what? They're just having a go. What gives us the right to say they should not do that?
What about Helen Wood, who's releasing a book, has been on Big Brother, and her claim to fame is having an orgy with a Premier League footballer?
Well, I don't know. She's done it, and I don't know. This is the thing.
But we're talking about our kids. Would you want your kids to do?
No, not at all. But then on the other hand, some of these people, I can't say, well, why should you not go and do something you want to do and have this fame and earn this amount of money?
Can I make a distinction then?
Yeah.
You don't want to talk down to people who are making their best. You wouldn't want your kids. But don't you think it's damaging to the culture when our culture celebrates people?
Massively.
Right.
Massively. I'm with you.
Yeah,
but
I
then
agree.
what gives me
100%.
the right to judge somebody else? I'm doing musical theatre. I'm an ex-cricketer. I'm presenting programmes. I'm having a go in other people's world, and I'm sure some people are turning around and saying, no, he shouldn't do that just because he's played a bit of cricket and he's done a bit of TV.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to look at... Yeah,
But Matthew,
I totally agree with that.
I don't know how I should feel about it, because it's a tricky one. Cheshire Housewives, right, round our way. I'd be horrified my missus doing that.
Me as well.
Horrified. If my missus wants to do that, I'm the wrong person.
Yeah.
But who am I? If they want to portray themselves on TV and get a bit of notoriety by doing that, that is completely your business. I'm not here to judge. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of this reality TV.
And what about with your kids? How would you try and ensure, both of you, that they don't go down the route of wanting to be reality television stars, but instead try and really fulfil their talents? How would you do it as a dad?
Do you know the problem is? And I'm going to be really, really honest about this. They could be. Because
of their dad, famous dad.
They've been asked to do TV shows, which we've not done. You've done a show with your lad, haven't you?
Big Star, Little Star.
Little Star. So I've done a couple of things with my kids. My daughter got asked if she wanted to do The Voice Kids.
Wow.
And it was like, well, I'm not. She don't listen to this anyway. But I didn't tell her because...
How old?
She's 13, but she's on hiding to nothing. If she does well, she can sing. It'll be all because of her dad. If she does badly, she'll just get hammered for all the time. It's just a hiding to nothing. And there are going to be opportunities. Let's not dance around it for our kids.
Yeah.
There's going to be. We've seen it with other people who's played sport or in the public eye. Their kids all of a sudden appear on TV. And what do you say to your kid? What do you say to the kid? If someone wants to pay him to do something? No.
That is invidious, because they might want to do it. So how are you going to navigate that if your children are offered opportunities to suddenly have a huge profile?
It's up to them, isn't it? Surely it's up to them.
What, even when they're in their early teens?
Well, I think, not a way around it, but a lot of it comes from how you live and how you are as parents. And one of the things which I try and get across to my kids is having a passion about something, having a passion and pursuing it.
Yeah.
Being the best you possibly can be at that one thing. And also as well, through my experience, which I try and pass on to my kids, is the things that are most rewarding in life are the ones that have been the hardest to do.
Yep.
And there's no point, because I've had things given to me, I've had things just put on my toes, and I've had no satisfaction through receiving them or doing them. Yep. The one thing which like this musical, put this musical, for instance, I've started from nowhere, and I'm trying my nuts off. I am working so hard to do this the best of my ability. Not just for me, but for Kay Mellor, who's put the faith, and Nick Lloyd-Webber and the other cast who are working so hard. And at the end of it, I can't affect what the critics are going to say, and I can't affect what people are going to write about it. But I know if I committed to it fully, and I get a decent reaction from the people I'm doing it with, I'll be very happy.
Robert Louis Stevenson, the novelist, said it's better to travel than to arrive. It's the journey that makes life so interesting.
Going back to
Robbie,
going back to your point earlier when you said to Freddie about instant fame, whatever it was, and
that now for a lot of people has become aspirational.
Yeah.
To be in a newspaper, on a TV show, by whatever means.
That's what I mean.
By whatever means possible to be on there.
Sad, isn't it?
Well, I didn't watch Love Island. I know you enjoyed it, Rob, and so did a lot of people I know. But people having sex on TV
Yeah.
You know, is that where we've come to? And if we are, well,
And I watched that, and I've seen that, and
but you watch it.
But
You
why can't-
watch it.
what can't-
Why? If you're not happy with where the world's going,
Yeah.
are you sat every night?
Good point.
First thing in the morning in gym. Have you seen Love Island? Eh? But it's serving a purpose. I don't watch it.
And
I don't do that.
There's
You're
a
making
market.
these people
I
famous.
thoroughly enjoyed it, and I must admit I really did. And the world's changed. But what I'm saying on that is, you said about people having sex on TV. When I hear parents of people who do that saying, "I'm proud of you," I cannot get my head around that. If that's your son or daughter on national television, it was watched by a few million people, and then you're sitting with your mum and dad and said, "Yeah, you know, we're proud of you," when they've seen you or heard you having sex on TV, I can't get my head around
But
that. I can't get my head around it.
You're happy enough to watch somebody
Other
else's
people's
son and
children.
daughter have sex on TV.
I must admit, when that happened, Fred, I wouldn't watch. That was for me is not right.
So how do you know it happened?
Come on, Matthew. I'm 42, man.
What? So
42. You hear about it, you see about it in the papers.
You turned over.
I'll go make a cup of tea at that point, yeah. Because my son will be watching it with me. The question is, should a 14-year-old boy be watching Love Island? That's the thing, because what happens? But listen, he's 14.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows about the bees and cities. What they call bees and bees?
Birds and the
Birds and bees.
Birds and the bees. Of course,
Yeah.
he's 14 and he knows what happens. Of course he does. But I just think when you're sitting there and you say, I'm proud of you. Come on.
What about your 10-minute free preview at 10 till 12? Used to watch when Mrs. had gone to bed.
It's on my phone now. Get away with even more now.
Delete history, Rob. Delete history.
But, Matthew, before, I'm not... Listen, you made a good point about, obviously, Premier League footballers, in some circumstances, are completely and utterly wrong, Matthew, and I 100% agree with that. But aspirational is the word fair to use. And listen, if that's what they choose to be, good luck to them. But it's wrong.
It's a tricky one when your kids are growing up and, like Robbie said, you turn up to a match where he's playing, Steven Gerrard's playing, and all the kids, all they want to do is have a picture with someone who opens a box. Yeah. That is a problem.